Hey there, welcome once again to another edition of Strange Planet. Thanks as always for sticking me in your ear. And if you'd like to get a little deeper into Strange Planet, you might want to consider becoming a premium subscriber. There are 3 tiers to choose from. Choose the one that's right for you. It's real easy. Just click on the link in the episode notes, strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm, strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm, and you gain access to commercial-free listening. We love our sponsors, but sometimes, it's nice just to listen without the commercials. You gain access to bonus episodes and a subscription to my monthly newsletter, Inner Sanctum, strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm. And I have to apologize for those of you on the Rumble channel. My Sony video camera, has decided to quit on me. It's not charging properly, so you won't see my video, but you don't need to see me. You don't need to see my mug staring back at you all the time. The important person here, he's got his camera operating, and he may share a few slides or videos from time to time, so that's the important stuff. In the meantime, I'll get to work with my IT department, aka my twin boys, and they'll figure this out, hopefully in short order. All right, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. What happened? This was, for those maybe who don't recall, the international passenger flight operated by Malaysia Airlines, and it disappeared, vanished from radar back on the 8th of March, 2014. It was flying from Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia. Its final destination was the international airport in Beijing, China. And the reason for the disappearance has never been conclusively determined. All 227 passengers, 12 crew aboard, have been presumed dead. And the search for this missing airplane became the most expensive search in the history of aviation. It focused initially on the South China Sea. Before this, a novel analysis of the aircraft's automated communications indicated that the plane had traveled far southward over the southern Indian Ocean. However, it still remains a mystery, or perhaps not. Perhaps not. It may have, in fact, been solved. You are in for a wild ride. And I'm just going to turn things over to my guest, who's been researching what may have happened to MH370. Ashton Forbes, welcome to Strange Planet. How are you?
Hey, Richard. Thanks for having me on. I'm doing great tonight. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And I want you to introduce yourself because there's certain aspects of your career that you may not want to divulge, and I don't want to slip up and say something that's going to jeopardize your career. So just give us kind of a brief sketch of your background, who you are, what you do a little bit, and then we'll get into what you've discovered.
Yeah, well, I'm a healthcare IT consultant. I've made that public knowledge. I can't go into much more depth on that. But in order to establish my credibility, I have disclosed that I have a top secret government clearance related to my job. My job has nothing to do with advanced technology, UAPs, or any types of investigations. I just got interested in this particular investigation. I haven't been interested in anything else related to this beforehand, just due to the nature of the videos that we're going to be disclosing today, and then the accumulated body of evidence that goes along with them, which has grown so extensive that I think that we can convince pretty much anybody that what we're looking at in these videos is the true fate of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370.
This is a Boeing 777, and some remarkable footage, supposedly from a U.S. drone and satellite, which has kind of reignited this whole mystery. Is that what we're looking at now in the video? And for those just listening on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast, we'll kind of try to paint you a mental image of what we're looking at. This is satellite imagery video or drone footage we're seeing right now.
So we believe this one here is the SBIRS system, potentially, which is the space-based infrared system. Now, it wasn't previously known that these satellites could take video, but it does make sense they should be able to, since video is simply images that are overlaid over one another. And so we believe there is a satellite here that is taking this data and sending it to the SBIRS system using SIGINT, signals intelligence, to create what we see here is this video of a 777-200. The 777-200 has the same color tone of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. It's light on the top, it's dark on the bottom. And in the other video that we'll show here in a little bit, which is a thermal of an MQ-1C Gray Eagle, it actually has an exact overlay of the thermal over a Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. It's a perfect match.
And how
So
did
yeah,
who gained access to this video, and how would they do that?
So the first account that uploaded this online, which we found the archive footage of this, goes back to March 12th, 2014, just 4 days after the event, by an account named Regicide Anon. Now that date is the received date listed in the description. The actual upload date is May 19th, 2014, which is roughly 70 days later. This seems to indicate that potentially this person that uploaded it had to be convinced that this footage was real. The reason for that is that we see in the source, it says protected. In addition, this YouTube uploader, Regicide Anon, is just a random UFO account uploader. They had a bunch of other videos they had posted before this, but this one seems to have impacted them greatly. 3 days after they uploaded this video that we're staring at right now, May 22nd, 2014, they made a Twitter account. In that Twitter account, they mentioned, check this video out before it's deleted. And they also tag MH370, despite the fact that their video they uploaded didn't mention MH370 at all. So you can tell right away that there's some unusual stuff happening in this video. The plane has a smoke trail going behind it.
Yes.
And we know this is smoke because we see cumulus clouds here. Cumulus clouds only form at low altitudes between 1 and 5,000 feet. So this plane is flying relatively low here.
It's not a contrail because if it would have to be at a higher altitude in order for the vapor, the water vapor to condense.
Yeah, 30,000 feet and above usually for contrails, unless the conditions are perfect.
So it must be a smoke trail. The plane is in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And we see this orb shoot out at about Mach 2, Mach 3 speeds, extremely fast speeds. And then immediately 2 more orbs appear next to it.
Right.
And they begin this triangle formation we see here. And this is a very clear pattern that's being formed around. It's actually encircling the plane over time. We see the perspective
spinning in a
change.
Counterclockwise, and then it rotates to clockwise, spinning around the plane.
It changes a couple times. And then what we see here now is that it actually becomes like a ring around it. And it stays in this ring pattern. And then all of a sudden, zap, the plane is just gone.
It's gone,
now,
vanished.
When the zap happens, you can actually see the illumination of the clouds as well. And these clouds are very highly detailed, which indicate that this is probably not a fake because it would take a tremendous amount of work in order to do that. And when the zap happens, it accurately illuminates the clouds in the foreground and in the background, which is another indicator that potentially everything we're seeing here is real. Even these orbs, even this zap action where the plane disappears. Not only does the plane disappear, the smoke trail stops too, which is indicative of that this is not some kind of cloaking or magic trick that's happening, because if it was cloaking, we'd see the smoke trail continue on forward as if the plane was, just invisible. So the person that leaked this probably did so with quite a bit of intent. We can see that they're following the plane and they're changing the perspective. We can see there's some coordinates in the bottom left. These coordinates indicate the Nicobar Islands, which is actually where this plane was at around 1840 UTC. In fact, this is the same location where they say that the plane turned into the South Indian Ocean in the official narrative. So the dates here are very damning, because the date of the South Indian Ocean narrative is March 13th, 2014, which is 1 day after supposedly Regicide Anon received this footage.
When did you pick up on this? When did you become involved in this? Let's call it an internet investigation.
Yeah, and I think this is the first ever community began or originated investigation. It happened around August 8th, 2023. The footage has been out there from 2014. People have seen it. I actually saw it in 2014. At least I saw the thermal, which I'm about to pull up now. But I had no basis to understand that this was real. When I saw this in 2014, I thought I was looking at, I don't even know what, maybe a video game or something. I didn't even know what FLIR footage would look like, which is the forward-facing infrared that these drones have. It wasn't until 2017 when those DoD Navy videos were declassified that I realized, the Tic Tac, that, this is what drones actually look like. I had no idea. So when this reemerged in 2023, and it had been posted in January on the UFOs subreddit, and it had been downvoted, and people said, oh, this is, it hurts the families and all these types of excuses on there. But when it got reposted again in August, people started to look at it in much more detail. And there was dozens of threads posted about every aspect of the video. trying to either authenticate it or debunk it. Many of the debunkers actually did more of a job authenticating it than debunking it,
Oh, really?
surprisingly.
Can you give me an
Yeah.
example of how they inadvertently did that?
Yeah. So the people that would try to say that the plane couldn't make this kind of turn, they said that this turn that we're seeing here is not capable of a 777-200. Turns out that's because it's descending. And if it's descending, then it's actually maxing out the real capabilities of a 777-200. The person that actually showed us the zap, it accurately illuminates the clouds, they actually don't even think the footage is real, but they went ahead and gave us some of the strongest evidence that the entire footage is real, including the zap that we see at the end, because of the fact that it does accurately illuminate these volumetric clouds that are extremely detailed. And then in addition to that, one person also tried to say that this mouse, I'll go back to it real quick, in the satellite, we can see the mouse. The mouse that we see in the screen, this black mouse that you can see
Oh, the
there,
cursor, like a
the
cursor.
cursor,
Yeah.
this does not update the coordinates. So when this mouse moves, it's not updating the coordinates, indicating that they're either pressing like the middle mouse or they have a second analog or something going on here. So they thought there might be a way that they could prove that's fake from this, because this mouse is running at 24 frames per second and the background is running at 6 frames per second. So they saw this discrepancy and said, oh, we can potentially prove this is fake somehow. Turned out to prove the whole thing's real, because the 24 frames per second of this mouse is indicative of a Citrix session logged into the actual Intel satellite database, which the satellite is showing 6 frames per second because it's a very wide field of view from potentially 1,000 kilometers in the sky.
Wow, that's pretty deep in the weeds. That's beyond my pay grade, but I'll take your word for it. So now, the person who posted this originally back in 2014, did they ever sort of resurface and comment in the community?
They haven't, which is a little bit surprising, because you would think that the person was, who posted this originally would want to come out and say, oh, hey, I'm the person that posted this. This is real, or what have you, which is a little scary to me, because it might think that that person may have been silenced to some degree. We do think we know who the leaker is, but we can go into that a little bit later, because there was actually a big update today on that.
Ashton, sorry, pardon the interruption. I'm going to take a quick time out. We'll come back as Ashton Forbes is with us. We are unraveling, or rather he is unraveling the mystery, the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 almost 10 years ago, and playing some remarkable satellite imagery video for us. Back with more of our conversation in just a couple minutes. Stay with us. Hi there. If you want to watch the rest of these episodes, please head over to my Rumble channel, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. You can watch complete episodes there. New, complete, unedited episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Again, the Rumble channel is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. In the meantime, I want to thank you for supporting this YouTube channel all of these years. However, the problem is I never know when I'm going to run afoul of the censors at YouTube. I never know when I'm going to end up in YouTube jail. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. And in fact, 2 more strikes and this YouTube channel will be taken down altogether. So help me fight big tech censorship, enjoy the complete unedited episodes, and join the rest of the Strange Planet community over on Rumble. Again, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet on rumble.com. See you over there. Ashton Forbes. Okay, so again, on Rumble, you can see we've got, what is this? Is that like thermal imaging from the same satellite that we're looking at?
So this is a second video, completely second one. This is when August 8th, I got really interested, because I have been following UFOlogy since 2017, since those DoD Navy footage came out. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start seeing if anything else interesting comes out. And this is when we saw the second video from a different angle. Now, this angle is from the north. The other one we were looking at was from probably around the southeast, and it's from outer space. This angle here is from kind of a direct horizontal view to the plane. And so this is from an MQ-1C Gray Eagle, which is produced by General Atomics.
It's a drone.
Yeah, a drone. And somebody who knows somebody from General Atomics told me that their friend looked at this and said that this is what they would look like. Now, interesting enough, we see the same orbs here, completely different angle. So if this was fake, then somebody had to create a 3D rendered environment in order to create these multiple different angles that we see
Right,
here.
right.
So very complex. There's several factors that someone, unless they were the most creative person on earth, could never think of. There's no basis for them. First, these orbs. See these trails? These black trails are actually not behind the orbs. They're coming from in front of the orbs. They're leading the orbs. This is explained as them creating their own geodesics, which is their own gravity, essentially. The way gravity works is everybody thinks of it like a graviton. There is no graviton pulling things down. Gravity is explained fully by mass warping space-time, and that time moves forward and things converge along the curvature of that's created from that. So what these are doing is they're creating their own curvature that they're following. They're also ignoring gravity entirely, which is explained by the fact that these are potentially just fields around a much smaller object. And they're potentially using room temperature superconductivity, either from metamaterials that can create that, like we've heard of LK99, or they might be able to induce the superconductivity from a repeated accelerated pulse that allows for room temperature superconductivity without those metamaterials.
Is this based on your, I mean, do you have a background in this knowledge, or did you seek out other, or is this part of the internet investigation community, other people weighing in, saying, I think I might know what those are, or what caused those black lines, etc.?
So it started with that, and the very earliest research came from the community. And then they got censored around August 19th, which was almost 3 months ago. Since then, I've taken the reins of the investigation. I've definitely put in the most work in the investigation in general. I've started to get tutored by physicists who have been reaching out to me, physicists and engineers. I did an interview with Salvatore Pais, who is famous for patenting what people call UFO patents, which I think is a little bit does him some injustice, because the patents that he puts out there are just advanced technology. They can describe UFOs, but they can also describe what we're seeing here now. And so room temperature superconductors can explain how these orbs are able to essentially ignore gravity by reducing their mass to zero, which essentially pulls them outside of physical kind of the physical realm as we would think of it. Now they're still here in our universe, but they're not being affected by the gravity of the Earth. And so that's huge, because room temperature superconductivity can explain pretty much everything that we need to have happen in these videos. They appear to be mapping the plane, these orbs. I don't think there's not little people or little aliens inside these. These are being run by a computer program. It's too exact. Their patterns are too specific. They seem to have a very clear purpose in their intent here.
Mapping
now we
So we don't need to delve into whether these are extraterrestrial at the moment, but I know the answer that based on earlier conversations over email and so forth. But okay, so and why this is a thermal image. Why did the drone decide to collect a thermal image of this?
Yeah, so probably it intercepted it. So the real situation that would have happened with this plane is a lithium ion battery fire, which explains the flight path much better than any other explanations to date. When this plane went dark at 1721 UTC, the 500 pounds of lithium ion batteries that were put together that day that were missed 2 security screenings most likely ignited. People have now probably been very familiar with the dangers of lithium ion batteries. A year after this event, the FAA stopped allowing them in the cargo bay of passenger planes, because there's nobody down there monitoring them. So they start to smoke up. There's nobody who's seeing it happen.
You're saying right? Snuck those on the plane deliberately?
No, they were actually just on the plane, because before this, people didn't realize the dangers of them. So they were just carrying these in the cargo, 500 pounds of them. It's a lot of lithium ion batteries.
So I see the belly of the plane. I see a belly in the belly of the plane. I see a little orange in the thermal imaging. That's the fire, the lithium battery.
So we don't think this is necessarily the fire, but this is the smoke billowing out from, this is where the landing gear is. And there's 2 heat exhaust ports here. So probably what's happening is the smoke from inside, which is in the cargo bays that we can't see for the fire, is traveling through the air conditioning ducts. And then we can actually see the smoke here at the end of the plane coming out of the back of the plane right here from the ducts. And you can tell it's not coming from the engines either. So this heat signature is most likely indicative. It could be fire in there, but more likely is just the hot air from inside the plane just getting poured out from the back of the plane here.
Okay. Next question. The drone that intercepted it, I mean, where did it come from? How did it know where to go? Who sent it?
Yeah, so we think that what happened is when this plane went dark, they didn't actually lose all communications. Yes, they may have lost power, and the pilot may have switched the circuitry to try to figure out where the circuit break was, and then made the plane go dark. But there's actually some evidence that the communications were still on. At 17:30 UTC, 10 minutes after this plane goes dark, there is a communication from another 777-200 where the pilot did not want to be named that says they heard the pilot's voice or the co-pilot's voice from MH370. There was also an intercepted communication at 18:43 UTC or 2:43 a.m. Malaysian local time, only reported in Chinese news. They claimed to be a secret intercepted communication from like the Thai embassy that was supposedly of MH370, claiming the plane was disintegrating and attempting an emergency landing. We found there was a witness at 18:40 UTC in the Nicobar Islands, Kate T. She was on a boat going from India to Phuket. She saw a glowing orange plane. She reported this sighting a few days later after she landed. She's done a bunch of blog posts about it. The glowing orange plane is consistent with the fire extinguishing devices, this halon fire extinguishing devices, producing bromine gas, which is a chemical reaction that it can produce that causes an orange gas to permeate throughout the entire plane. This was the kind of the missing link in terms of figuring out what really happened in this plane. And then we found out all the other witnesses that have been discredited all saw the same thing too. Mike McKay sees this plane start on fire at 1720 when it goes dark from an oil rig hundreds of miles away. He can see it off in the distance at cruising altitude. There were people along the coast that heard loud noises at the exact same time, 9 of them. And then 10 minutes later, the same time that communication we were talking about, the early one, there's 8 fishermen on a boat that see this plane flying very low. Most likely this plane did get depressurized, but the pilot wasn't trying to kill everybody. He was flying low so that they had enough oxygen to breathe. Quite the opposite of that. And that's why they're flying to Penang initially, because that's the closest airport you should go to in an emergency. Now, if you can't land there because they didn't, most likely that meant the landing gear was damaged. The next thing you're supposed to do is you're supposed to try to land on the belly of the plane without the landing gear, surprisingly, on land.
Right.
The problem with that is it's filled with fuel. So if you try to do that, this plane is going to explode. And if you try to dump the fuel while your plane's on fire, it doesn't seem like a very good recipe either. So the next thing you're supposed to do is try to land in the water. So we believe what happened then is they were in communication with the U.S. government and that they had a rendezvous point of the Nicobar Islands. That's why it flies through the Straits of Malacca. There are drones stationed at some of the bases there. They're co-India and United States little bases there. There was also some training exercises that were about to happen on March 10th between Thailand and the U.S. So it's very plausible that the assets were in the area. The satellite most likely got operationalized. Now, you can't move these satellites around, but you can have somebody be in the right place at the right time to take the satellite video. So we think that this was a combination of using this CBRS system in order to create that video there and have all these interconnected devices. Now, while we're watching this, we can tell the drone's being manually operated. They're not automatically tracking this like in those the TikTok videos where they have like the tracker automatically on it.
Right.
In this case, they're following it manually, which is indicative of them knowing what's about to happen. They actually zoom out right before this zap happens, which also is indicative of them knowing what to happen.
They know what is about to happen. They zoom out to capture those orbs, and then, as you say, the zap.
Yeah, and this zap is really interesting. And so a guy named Bob Greenier has actually really helped us understand what's happening here a lot better.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here, another commercial timeout. We'll get to what he explained as he explains what's happened, or Ashton Forbes explaining what we're seeing here. Remarkable. The mystery of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 perhaps solved, and you won't believe what quite possibly has happened to this aircraft and all 227 passengers and 12 crew aboard back in 2014. Back with more of Strange Planet right after this. Hi there. If you want to watch the rest of these episodes, please head over to my Rumble channel, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. You can watch complete episodes there. New, complete, unedited episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Again, the Rumble channel is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. In the meantime, I want to thank you for supporting this YouTube channel all of these years. However, the problem is I never know when I'm going to run afoul of the censors at YouTube. I never know when I'm going to end up in YouTube jail. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. And in fact, 2 more strikes and this YouTube channel will be taken down altogether. So help me fight big tech censorship, enjoy the complete unedited episodes, and join the rest of the Strange Planet community over on Rumble. Again, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet on rumble.com. See you over there. Ashton Forbes stays with us. Ashton, is there a website you can direct us to where people can sort of follow the investigation?
Yeah, the best place right now is on Twitter, or X Corp, I guess you can call it that. And my handle is at justxashton. You guys can still follow along this investigation. We think we have a really good idea of what's going on with it, but until we get answers from the US government, this investigation will not be complete. So now is your chance to be part of the greatest conspiracy of all time, the real story of MH370.
Give us your handle again.
At justxashton. And you can also find me on YouTube as well. I just started a YouTube channel where I interviewed Salvatore Pais. It's gotten a lot of attention. You may want to check that out as well.
Okay, so a gentleman, what was his name? Bob Grenier?
Bob Grenier, yeah. And he had put a video out that was called Fractal Toroidal Moments. And he thinks that what we're looking at here is essentially explained fully by what his research in the past into green energy and these toroidal movements is. He actually points to this heat signature that we see here. It's almost like a half circle. And he thinks that these are the monopoles where the potentially laser beams are sending these pulses out that create the geodesics. And interesting enough, when we watch this in slow-mo, you can see that they actually at the last moment begin to orient towards the center of the plane.
Yes.
Right as they converge on the plane at the same time. And so what we think is happening here is they are then kind of converging these pulses together into one point to exploit potentially free energy. The amount of energy it would take to make this plane disappear is astronomical. So we think that they're abusing superconductivity and this pulse action here to create a high energy. I'm not going to probably say this right, not necessarily a field, but they are essentially going ahead and they are converting this plane using a transitional phase change to this plane, which allows it to obtain the properties of quanta. What this means is that there is a unifying theory of quanta and macro that's out there, potentially being held secret from us. And that's a huge aspect of this whole case, probably bigger even than the plane itself.
So these orbs created what? A portal, a wormhole?
So yeah, I've moved away from the portal and wormhole explanations. I think that's a little bit too esoteric. The way that it's being described is that their combined toroidal movements can cohere electrons. And when these electrons cohere, they self-organize into a matter wave. This allows for solid state objects to achieve macroscopic quantum coherence. So if you were to think about something that's very tiny, an atom with electrons flowing around it, if you were to smash those electrons apart and then you have a bunch of atoms grouped together, you can have those atoms flow around the group of atoms and now obtain the same properties as the single atom, which we know can have quantum properties, quantum teleportation, non-locality, quantum entanglement. And so what this is doing here is when they converge, they're creating their own azimuth as they collapse on the plane. And then the orbs induce that transitional phase state change. The low temperatures are what allow these electrons to couple and move as one. So this toroidal moments actually create a unification of the forces that induce this phase singularity. Now, the reason why it's not a black hole is because we don't see the clouds get sucked in.
Excellent point.
Yeah. So since we see so little movement, it's almost just like the matter is just changing forms. Or a better explanation is that the quantum properties include mass reduction. And that since time is a fluid symmetry, the faster time flows, the less inertia, therefore less gravity, 0 Gs.
All right, Ashton, in plain English, what happened to the plane?
Yeah, so in the plain English, this plane is speeding up like Quicksilver from the Marvel movies and moving fast as the speed of light, potentially even faster. So if you want an analogy for it, then what's happening is think of a bug, a tiny fly. How can the tiny fly move so fast, even though it's so tiny relative to our size?
Yes.
And the answer is the less mass, the faster the time flows, the faster speed you can obtain. Same with an ant as well. You see, the ants can move super fast along the ground, even though they're so tiny. So if you were to scale it up, they would be moving much faster. However, if you scale them up, now they're going to be moving slower because they have more mass. So this is really how you would explain it. And that means that what is out there is there's this unifying theory of quantum and macro that allows these planes or solid state objects to literally teleport. Now, the reason why we can't see it in better detail is because there's a frame rate on these cameras. And so the teleportation, the movement's happening faster than the frame rate can catch. So that's why it looks like it just disappears to us. But what's really happening is it's just speeding up. Now, in the very last frame here, I'll try to catch it. It blurs. You can see the plane actually blur from the previous frame. And when the plane blurs like that, you see that blur right there? Yes. This is actually because the plane is accelerating in this moment. And this outline actually shrinks a tiny bit, which actually shows the mass reduction as well. So this is, in my opinion, this frame is absolute proof of the science that we're talking about here. And so this is the part that blows my mind personally.
It sped up. It didn't disappear. It didn't get teleported. Where did it go?
And that's the part where we can only speculate. You know, we don't have two other videos on the other side that are showing us this plane reappearing. As far as we know, I mean, maybe they're out there, you know. So that's the part where we can only speculate. I think that based on circumstantial evidence, this plane somehow really did get to Diego Garcia military base. That's what people have speculated. That's what all the conspiracy theories have speculated. The evidence for it, strongest evidence, would be the sighting in the Maldives, which was just ignored. That supposedly was some people that were living on this island that's just north of the Diego Garcia military base. So they saw the plane, they saw the windows at 6 a.m. with the red and blue stripe of Malaysia Airlines on it. There was also a fire suppression device from a B-77 that washed up there, also was ignored, even though there's a serial number on it. And these fire suppression devices, it looks like an old like cartoon bomb. They're very, very unique looking. So it's really unusual to me that the Maldives was intentionally excluded from the search and that they cast doubt on all of these witnesses. But again, this is highly speculative, but that's really one of the only places, at least on Earth, that you would be able to hide this plane. Your other options are it could go to another dimension, I guess. It could go to another planet, another place in the universe. It could go forward in time because time dilation is real as well. A lot of people don't understand this, but what happened in the movie Interstellar, where Matthew McConaughey goes to the planet and then they come back from the planet to the space station, it's been 20 years later. That's also explained by the science I just mentioned. Because they're close to the black hole, when they go to the planet, there's a lot more mass happening there. And what that means is that their time is slowing down. When they go back to the space station, there's less mass. They go further away. Time is moving faster there. It's a very extreme example in the movie of 20 years passing, but that's actually what happens in real life as well. And it's been a proven concept that's been shown by using planes with clocks on them flying around the Earth.
In the scenario in which the plane lands at is it Diego Garcia?
Yeah, that's the name of the base. Mm-hmm.
What happens in the scenario to the 239 people on board?
Again, highly speculative, but you know, I believe in the good of humanity, so I like to look towards a positive aspect. And if that's the case, then I think you would make deals with the various countries involved for whoever survived this. I mean, we're talking about a lithium-ion battery fire that's potentially raging for an hour and 20 minutes. Toxic smoke is billowing from it. And that can they even survive this teleportation event? Now, if the plane can still fly after this, and maybe that ion battery fire got put out because potentially what we're seeing here is absorbing the energy in those batteries or just putting it out from being extremely cold, then in that situation that people can survive, I would have, you know, deals with the government, send them back to China. Most of the people were from China, so China would have no problem preventing those people from talking. The next most were from Malaysia, which the U.S. White House was talking to Malaysia every day. Obama went and visited Malaysia for the first time in 50 years in early April as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And then the next most are from Indonesia. There's only a handful of people that are Western passengers, including 3 Americans. Philip Wood is one of them. Philip Wood, actually, there was a picture that was posted on the website 4chan that people just kind of ignored because it didn't make a lot of sense. But that picture was a black picture and had EXIF data for location that pointed to Diego Garcia as well. So for him and someone like him, you might put him into witness protection, give him a new identity, you know, maybe give him a few $1 million. I'm not sure exactly how much it would take to buy people off. What I can say is that none of the families of the victims have reached out to me, despite the fact that at this point, I don't know how many millions of impressions, but tens of millions of impressions already online. If it was my family, I would never give up. And even if there was some far out chance, right, that someone was doing what I was doing, I would definitely reach out to them and say, hey, what do you know? What can you tell me?
Exactly.
Um, yeah. So
Um,
it's a, yeah,
so who has this technology?
yeah. So a lot of people initially, especially while we looked at it, thought, well, this must be non-human intelligence. Even I thought that right away because I had looked at UFOlogy. We really had so little basis to understand this technology early on. But as I've looked into the case and kind of what we just talked about here with some of the motive around it and talked to physicists about it, we can actually explain all the physics in terms of just advanced physics that is really just cutting edge even right now. So to me, the logical conclusion is the US military. They're the ones filming this on two cameras. They're the ones who were covering this up. And really, the cover up here explains why you cover up this South Indian Ocean or cover it up with the South Indian Ocean narrative, where we never found a plane. There was no debris field. There was no acoustic detections. The phones were still ringing from 19 passengers for up to 4 days. To me, in general, I don't think that what we're looking at is non-human intelligence, but one leads the other here. I can't really believe that we came across this technology all on our own. I feel like if you look at whistleblower David Grush's testimony to Congress, this would be indicative of a reverse engineering program, in my mind.
So what happened here? Do you think the U.S. military saw a plane that was in distress, had the assets in the area, decided, hey, let's try out this technology, and let's I don't know, video it for posterity, or just to show our superiors that this stuff works?
So there's a few different reasons for the motive. Now, there were 20 free-scale semiconductor scientists and engineers on board this plane that were going to China to help improve the factories. At least that was the official reason. We've shown that this plane was doomed. Landing in the ocean would have broken this plane apart. I was looking at a video yesterday where even on controlled descent, this plane in the ocean is going to fall into pieces. It's not like landing in the Hudson River like Sully Sullenberger. We found a 2005 NSA, National Security Agency report on commercial superconductivity development and referenced free-scale semiconductors 9 times in it. It also mentioned that this room temperature superconductivity could be operable by 2010 or 2012, but only if the government provided funding for it, which technically creates a direct tie between the technology we see in the videos and the people who are on board. So then you might say, okay, you're either preventing this intellectual property from getting into China because this is a matter of military supremacy. Whoever controls this technology controls the world. It could be a matter of preventing that loss of that IP, that because they're already the ones who've been developing it. Or it could also be a weapons test on a doomed plane. The plane's already doomed. So, maybe we go ahead and try this out. We don't know what's going to happen to the passengers. We'll see what occurs. The one thing I can rule out is that they're trying to destroy because it's already doomed. You don't need to do that. It just makes things more complicated if that's the case.
I'll just get you to repeat that last little bit because you broke up a little bit. Sort of your final.
Yeah. The last bit there was just whether or not you're testing this technology on a doomed plane. Because if you're testing on this doomed plane, you may have some protocol that says, okay, plane's doomed. We don't know what'll happen with this technology. Let's go ahead and try it out and see what happens. But you don't really need to do it if the plane is already doomed and you're trying to destroy the plane, because all you have to do in that case is let it crash and everybody's going to die.
Does this technology explain, for example, the Tic Tac UFO video, and much of the modern day UFO phenomenon, to your mind?
I think it does. Going back to the whistleblower David Grush, Commander Fravor's witness testimony as well, where he saw this Tic Tac vibrating. One of the things from talking to Salvatore Pais about this technology is there's 2 ways you can obtain these quantum coherence. One is by accelerated spin, and the other one is by accelerated vibration. And that's the one that seems to be the one that they're using, at least related to these videos that we would see here. And if that's the case, that may be the same thing that these Tic Tacs are doing. I mean, who knows? Maybe even those Tic Tacs are our technology. But in my mind, I think that those Tic Tacs, UAPs, indicate that there is some other potential non-human intelligence out there, maybe on our planet from somewhere else. We watched it, and over maybe 90 or 100 years, we eventually figured out how to reverse engineer it. But it probably took a long time. Just like if you were to give a caveman an iPhone, they're not going to be able to reverse engineer that iPhone. But if you give them hundreds of years, they can build up their material science. Maybe they can figure it out.
I'm living proof. I still haven't figured it out. I'm the caveman. You're putting yourself out there. Are you getting any blowback? Any, I don't know, men in black visiting you?
So initially, first of all, the first week or so, I was very afraid. Once I started doing podcasts, I felt like I was a bit more protected because if anything were to happen to me, then it would be very suspicious. But the more I've thought about it, the more I thought that's not really how they go about it anymore. Especially looking at the videos themselves and how they've really not hidden them that well. They've deleted the YouTubes, but they didn't delete the archives. I think too many people put the videos out there. So what they do instead is use disinformation. They've definitely been trying to discredit me on every front. There are troll accounts out there that are trying to connect me to all kinds of fake things, which is kind of sad. But at the same time, I somewhat expected it. So I don't know how much of that stuff's connected to the intelligence community, but that's the way that if you look at Bob Lazar and other people who have tried to disclose this type of information, that's definitely their attack vector, is make somebody non-credible. And that's part of the reason why I kind of chose to be the spokesperson for the case. Due to my security clearance, it makes it very difficult for the government to discredit me in that front. All my background's already been vetted by the highest levels of security in the world. So yeah, there is a lot of blowback around it. But it's nothing I can't handle. I think if you just can't maintain a positive attitude, I'm not really worried about anything happening to me. I would say that if something did, then this is one of the most noble causes there is. Going to our leaker, the person that leaked these, I think they had a similar thought. They looked at these videos. Maybe they thought right away this was non-human intelligence. They maybe didn't even know what they were looking at. And all they wanted to do was leak to the world what really happened to MH370. And then likely what happened is they were told later on, hey, no, this was our technology. You just showed China, Russia, all our adversaries, potentially our super weapon, and then they were convinced that, yeah, you made a huge mistake. You need to take this plea deal. And now you're going to go to prison for 9 years over this instead of life in prison, which is what they were facing.
If the United States military has this technology, and this is 10 years ago,
yeah,
what do you suppose they have now? How are they looking to use it? How are they using it?
Yeah. And I think that, first of all, they can video the entire world and just do video playback anytime they want, which is why there doesn't need to be people following me around, because they can just pull it up anytime they want. Looking at the cyber system, you can check out the videos about that from Lockheed Martin that are publicly available. They're scanning the world all the time. And if they're creating videos like this, then following people around is easy. A lot of people ask me, if you have this kind of technology, why are you not just ending all the wars? And I would just say, what wars have the United States got into that they need to end? All these wars that we've been in have been these proxy wars that in my mind are just about money, so I imagine that we could end any war in an instant if we wanted to, but the downside is then we would reveal our hand, right? We would reveal our aces in the hole. So that's part of the reason why they don't want to reveal this technology. It needs to be a really good reason to put it out there. Now, they definitely didn't expect these videos to leak. There's probably other videos that are a lot like this that are classified. These are almost certainly not the only ones. But that's really what it comes down to too, is like people say, why not just take over the whole world? Well, it's a lot more complex than that. If we go and we take out Russia and take out their leadership and take out China's leadership or whoever else, right, hypothetically speaking, then what? Are you just going to make all of their citizens Americans? Like, are they going to revolt? Geopolitical landscape's a lot more complex than people think.
I would think that if you have this kind of technology, you would constitute what Richard Dolan would call a breakaway civilization. They don't think in terms of nation states. Who knows? They may be off planet. They could be on a deep space platform somewhere. Who knows? Absolutely mind blowing. I have to say, one of the most remarkable stories in my 30 plus years of broadcasting. And we're going to do this all over again on Coast to Coast, but we'll have a little more time to delve further into this. So all you Coasty fans out there, stay tuned for that. Ashton, a remarkable story. Thank you so much. Again, the Twitter handle and the YouTube handle.
Yeah, and thanks, Richard, for having me on here and giving me a platform to spread the evidence, because I think it's so compelling that really anybody that looks at it will at least realize the official story is a lie. And the only real explanation for why to cover that up is this technology we see. So once again, it's at JustXAshton. You can find me either on Twitter, X Corp, or on YouTube, and I'll be there and you can follow along with this investigation yourself.
All right. Until Coast. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Hi there. If you want to watch the rest of these episodes, please head over to my Rumble channel, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. You can watch complete episodes there. New, complete, unedited episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Again, the Rumble channel is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. In the meantime, I want to thank you for supporting this YouTube channel all of these years. However, the problem is I never know when I'm going to run afoul of the censors at YouTube. I never know when I'm going to end up in YouTube jail. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. And in fact, 2 more strikes and this YouTube channel will be taken down altogether. So help me fight big tech censorship. Enjoy the complete unedited episodes and join the rest of the Strange Planet community over on Rumble. Again, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet on rumble.com. See you over there. Welcome to Strange Planet, everyone. Great to have you aboard. Thanks, as always, for sticking me in your ear. And if you'd like to dive deeper into Strange Planet, consider becoming a premium subscriber. Real easy to do. Just click the link in the episode description. It's strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm, strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm. There are 3 monthly programs to choose from. Choose the one that's right for you. You gain access to commercial-free listening, bonus episodes, subscription to my monthly newsletter, Inner Sanctum, and discounts on Strange Planet merchandise. strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm. We're going to visit with an old friend of the program, a dear friend of the program. It's been a while, and she'll tell us what's been going on in her life. She's, she was born psychic, and she's also developed other abilities, and she's kind of a metaphysician, if you will. She's got a wildly popular YouTube channel called Sloan Bella. And it's a great pleasure to welcome Sloan back to the show. Sloan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm waving because I have a camera. Like, hi, how are you? Great White North. I heard you. My hometown.
That's right. You grew up on the streets of Toronto. And
I did. Yes.
Worked with street kids.
Absolutely. Yes.
You became sort of the go-to psychic for a crime family. Did that happen in LA or Toronto, the crime family?
Actually, Florida.
Florida
through the strip clubs. Well, one in LA, but really through the strip clubs in Florida. So in a very big crime family. He died in prison. So okay, a lot of them died in prison. That's not a good hit. I'm talking around it. But anyway, yeah, he was Dapper, Dapper Don, that family, that crime family. Yeah, they worked out of Florida and they ran a lot of the strip clubs. That's how I became acquainted.
And how did they utilize your abilities? What did they want to know? Who was after them? Or
at the time, I was it's terrible, but in a bikini, on the boats for the mistresses, wives, and girlfriends, just basically entertainment, until they found out that you really knew other things. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was part of the entertainment, like, oh, look, there's a manicurist, there's a psychic, she's going to entertain you.
Right.
And then some of the right-hand people would sit down and talk to you and that kind of thing. And so you would find out a lot. And some of them are still running girls out of the valley. Well, this is as of like 10 years ago. So I still used to get clients handed to me from them that would show up, the girls working for these particular men that worked for that organization and their offspring all the way down.
Right.
So, yeah.
Did you gain their confidence where they wanted to know, like maybe their opposition, the rival crime family's next move? Did they want to know that kind of information?
Definitely. And find out basically what they do is they'll give you like 3 pictures, 3 names, 3 whatever, 3, 4, and say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And they could go through a litany of lists. Like 15 names on a list, of which I had no idea. Some you don't even know if they're male or female. Just what you feel about them and that kind of thing. But when I left Florida, I left because one of the men that brought down, I guess it was the Gambino crime family that actually was responsible for, I guess, turning information, had said something to me off key in just a local kind of shop, bar, drink, whatever. And I thought, oh shit, stuff's going down. So that's the last time I ever worked in Florida. I was gone. And then my boss in California was actually murdered. So that was the end of that. But by his business partner, which I could have predicted that actually, but I don't know that that would have been psychic. Like it was kind of obvious if you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it was very obvious. But he was murdered in oh my gosh, 88, 87, 88, 87, somewhere in there. So yeah, that was out of LA. That was a different group of people,
Has being
all
psychic
mafia related.
has being psychic saved your life on more than one occasion?
Actually, it has, in my opinion, absolutely in different ways. What it has done is allowed me the grace with which to speak to people to clear up things more on a personal level before they passed away and things like that. So it's really been helpful when I listen to it. I don't listen to it all the time. I do now. I'm old now, but when I was younger, I was like, I'm going to go do whatever, So yeah, it has. I'm sure more than once.
It's been a while since we chatted. I know you had
Yes.
a tragedy in your family. How are you doing?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Well, that's like being punched in the face and run over by a boat. And it's the most horrific. I don't wish it on anybody, obviously. Yeah, this is 3 years. Still in a lawsuit. Well, we're still gathering information. We've tracked down, I had a wonderful PI who's very, very psychic. She's a psychic PI.
Sorry, we
Bobby
should just
Bosch.
mention it was your son who died in
It
a
was my
motorcycle
son,
accident.
Keithy. Yeah, it was Keithy. And I had the help of a private investigator from Texas who offered her help because my son came to her psychically, offered her help, and basically tracked down 9 out of 10 of the witnesses we're looking for. We're still looking for 2. Wrote up the police reports, helped me with absolutely everything, which gave me focus. I'm still focusing. So I've been subpoenaing the LAPD. By the way, can I just tell you, Freedom of Information Act is anything but that. You cannot get access. I'll be serving another subpoena this week. There's 10 subpoenas I've served by myself because you can't afford a lawyer to do this. How can you? Because you have to pay, unless it's like you're OJ Simpson or something. But so it's been very difficult. And of course, we miss our son daily, just every
Yeah,
single day. So you really don't live the same. And it is a huge test of faith, because even as a medium and knowing that I talk to people that have crossed over, like other people's people that have crossed over, when it came to my son, I didn't believe anything anyone said. I didn't, I was like, oh, if I can swear, F you,
hmm
y'all are full of shit. We die. I went the opposite way. So I can understand why people don't believe it, because it's such a loss that it's, strange. But I have to tell you a funny story. So I had a person who watched my YouTube channel, and her name begins with a C. I won't even mention her name, but anyway, she wrote me an email and she said, your son Keith is here. Okay, so I don't know her. I haven't done a reading for her or talked to her. She's somebody who watches my YouTube channel. And she says to me, Keithy's really mad. They threw his bed and all the stuff in the backyard, right? And I'm like, because I don't live in that house anymore because I got separated just before Keith passed. And so I kept calling my ex-husband and I'm like, is Keith's bed in the house? And he'd be like, yeah. I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I go by it every morning, the bedroom, right? It's there. 2 months later, and this girl wrote, no, she wrote me like 3 times. She said, Keith says they wrecked his bed. They broke his bed when they threw it out or moved it or whatever they did, but it's in the backyard. 2 months later, they all admitted that they moved my granddaughter in, her mother, and my son back in the house, and they took the bed outside and broke it. But see,
Oh,
that's how we got through. This lady was emailing me like a crazy person. So it was working. I was still getting messages, So that was pretty funny. Spot on. She was spot on.
yeah. Did
Spot
that
on.
restore your faith?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen Keith. I know he's here. Like I've had enough signs of him myself, but not in the way I had his brother. Like his brother passed when he was born, my stepson, and he came through a lot differently than my son. And so it's the way, it's a frequency that they come through. But it was my stepson that came to collect Keith. I saw him. I actually said it on my YouTube channel. I said his name was Jimmy. I said, Jimmy's here. I wonder who he's come to take. I just didn't realize a month later it would be Keith. But I saw him, like I could see him. With my son, I don't see him. I feel him, and he makes himself known everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere he makes himself known to strangers, people. So he's very vibrant, but in a different way. So it's interesting.
Is it comforting?
Yeah, I have one fear, and I never thought I'd admit this publicly. It sounds so crazy. My fear is when I die, he'll be somewhere where I can't see him, where I can't find him.
Interesting.
I've never had that fear before, but now I'm like, what if I go to the wrong place on the other side or a different place? And so it's horrifying. Even though I understand part of us is over there and here at the same time, I think, what if when I die, he's incarnated in India or wherever, or, he's gone to a different and doesn't know? Or what if in this life that was it, the only connection I had to him? That's very frightening, because we come back in, but we don't always spend our lifetimes with the same people. It's the same but different people. So maybe every 3 lifetimes, you and I might be friends again, or however that might work out. So my fear is he'll choose not to see me or whatever. I have this paranoid weirdo fear. Like, it's absurd, but I actually think about that now, and I never thought of that. Never.
Yeah.
So
what do I know? But I don't think you can ever. I don't think anything can sever the mother-child connection. I don't think anything can sever.
Yeah, I hope not. But I mean, it's like this weird thing that clicks in your head, And I just know I try to honor his name in everything I do. So I try to correct, what people assumed happened versus what happened, and I try to find out what happened. And
I don't want to delve too much into it, because I know it's it's still so recent, 3 years, but you're it wasn't an accident. What are you investigating? What do you think happened?
Oh, we're investigating. We do have video of a car pulling out, which started the incident because they went into his lane and then stopped. So it caused them to move into the middle lane. We cannot find the video in those 3 houses. I feel like somebody pulled out in front of him from one of those driveways, and we can't find evidence. I have retrieved all the body cam footage, and I've been looking through it. That is fascinating. Just from a perspective, it's not all my son on the ground or anything. It's every element of it. And that's really fascinating, because one person we were looking for, we actually saw them on the video and their interactions around the Keith's body and the accident and everything. So we're looking for that person now. The police never got her name. It was really weird, but she's there for an entire hour talking to everybody. We're like, who is this woman? So it's very interesting to watch. It filled in things I needed to know, needed to understand. And again, I was able to see my son and his injuries and what happened to him. And I needed to see that. I read the coroner's report, obviously, but I feel much better actually witnessing it, because they would not let me do that. They kept me from him, for me and my other son and I. They kept us from that. And as parents and relatives, I don't know that should be their decision exactly like that. I wanted to sit with my son. I knew what I wanted to do. So that's another thing. And I'm thinking, how many people go through that? I hear it all the time. They're not allowed to see their child, their husband, their loved one, whoever, because if it's a murder, literally, and they know it, I understand that, but they won't even let you go over. And again, the most shocking thing was I was told that Keith, when he hit the ground, the police officer told me he was property of LAPD. Now that sent me nuts on that day. That's what they said. You can't go near him. He's now LAP. That's literally what they said. That's the beast system right there. That is the Masonic system at work, to say that to someone. That was actually said to me and to my other son. And we were like, oh, hell no. He came out of my body. Like, no,
That's right. That's just wrong on every level. He belongs to us now. Well, we hear that refrain. We hear that from educators up here in Canada. We just had a Million March for Children, where parents who are just fed up with a lot of the indoctrination and sexualization that's happening in our schools. And the teachers unions are saying, basically, screw you, parents. your children belong to us. Well, heck, even the president of the United States intimated as much. They, our children, he keeps saying, our children. They're not your
Well,
children.
there are a bunch of pedophiles, number one, in my opinion. I'm going to say that out loud. Number two, they're not responsible for our children. You as a parent are, I am, our relatives are, like our family units are, but the school system, they're indoctrinating them so they can take them over. That's what they're trying to do, indoctrinate them into a lifestyle of servitude for the government, I believe. And it's literally the Baphomet agenda in that they're inverting them. So they want your kid, if your kids, you have two boys, right?
Correct.
Two boys. So they want your two boys in school to want to be female. And they want my two boys to want to be female. And they want my granddaughters to be male. So that nobody really does anything and they have control over them because it's a psychological monkey wrench. And then they're going to steal our consciousness. This is where I believe they're working. Once the physical body is so broken, once we are so broken, they steal our consciousness because they don't have souls. So they steal ours, our children's, our grandparents, whoever, and they harness that in kind of virtual worlds. I'm pretty sure we're going that way. That's why they're messing with our bodies, because when we come through as one of God's, okay, when we come through as that, we come through in strength and power as a male, as a female, whatever you are. Females, we give birth. Males help with that. They don't want that. Males are strong and they fight. They don't want that. So what better way to remove the threat of men, but to make them estrogen filled, if you ask me.
Exactly.
So that's what they're doing. And then they want you to eat shit and just agree with it and me to do that. And no, I won't. And I think we should all homeschool. I have this thing here because I don't know if Marina told you, but I just had another baby granddaughter. She's 3 months old now, or she'll be 3 months, and her name's Little Meadow. Anyway, cute little Meadow. And with big sister Lila. Anyhow, those two, I said, why doesn't each of us grandparents or whoever take 1 day a week or 2 days a week and homeschool of like 7 or 8 kids? Like take your friends' kids. I'll do it. I'll do it with the other parents, whoever's home. I don't care. Like whatever you want me to teach them in the doctrine, I will do it so they don't have to go get vaccinated and all that. Honestly.
Yeah, that's the way
I think
we need a homeschooling revolution. Yeah, we homeschooled
all
our
of
boys.
us.
Yeah, for about 4 years.
Yeah, your neighbors, your block, the people on your block, like in Toronto. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's called a homeschooling co-op, and then you can even if you've got 20 parents and you can't fit into one house, you rent out a church basement or something, and maybe you even pool your money and you hire. Let's say you can't teach. It's hard to do chemistry at home, not everyone can teach.
Blow it up.
Not everyone can teach, grade 12 functions. So you hire a teacher, and there are a lot of teachers that are looking for work because they wouldn't take the jab and they got fired. And so this is
and good teachers and non-indoctrinated, clear thinking, brilliant people, lovely people.
Exactly.
And they're being threatened, blackmailed to take a vaccine and you don't even know what's in it.
Sloan,
they can't prove what.
No, they've done no long-term studies. We'll take a quick time out, come back, more of my conversation with Sloan Bella. Stay with us. Hi there. If you want to watch the rest of these episodes, please head over to my Rumble channel, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. You can watch complete episodes there. New, complete, unedited episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Again, the Rumble channel is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. In the meantime, I want to thank you for supporting this YouTube channel all of these years. However, the problem is, I never know when I'm going to run afoul of the censors at YouTube. I never know when I'm going to end up in YouTube jail. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. And in fact, 2 more strikes and this YouTube channel will be taken down altogether. So help me fight big tech censorship, enjoy the complete unedited episodes, and join the rest of the Strange Planet community over on Rumble. Again, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet on rumble.com. See you over there. Psychic medium astrologer Sloan Bella is here. Sloan Bella, the YouTube channel, wildly popular, about 130 subscribers. And what do you do on the YouTube channel?
Oh my God, Richard, what don't I do? Okay, so I'm just laughing because I just did the video and I was not familiar with this man, but I do dead celebrity videos that people request. So it could be anybody from Fatty Arbuckle all the way up to whoever. And I just did DJ Twitch. And I was at Ellen DeGeneres's DJ man who allegedly took his own life, which he didn't. But so I basically read the energy around that. I've done things like John Bonet Ramsey and the Delphi murders, which I'm getting a lot of feedback on that because last week in court, whoever they arrested, because I don't pay attention, I guess he said it was a cult ritual killing. It was a ritual with more than one person, like an actual ritual. And I don't know what religion he's in. Well, we do know he's a Satanist, but anyway, to harm 2 baby girls, right? But I had said that. That's what they had told me like 3 years ago. I did the video. So I'm getting a lot of response from that because whatever I said, I haven't gone back to watch it. I did 2 videos on them. Whatever I said is actually being said in the court case right now. So that's very interesting. And I also just record at night, just basically chatting about whatever. I turn it on and I talk for an hour and a half about whatever the hell is going on. And it could be any nonsense. It could anything from what happened in the grocery store to hiking to Hawaii to whatever. So, and I'll answer people's questions. You know, they are, you know how they text you questions and all that,
Yes,
or
yes.
message. Yeah, so I'll just answer whatever, and they ask all kinds of things in the paranormal world. Yeah.
When you look at an event like the fire in Maui, which 100 dead, still, I don't know how many missing, 1,000, maybe more.
Yeah.
Many of them
Probably
children.
50. Yeah, they say 1,000. Yeah.
Are you remote viewing that to see what happened, or are you just using I don't know, how do you look at
I hear it and I feel it. I don't actually, I may be remote viewing if I dream it, like if I'm dreaming it, but I don't actively sit down to remote view, but I get a feel for it. And it was instantaneous when they said that Hawaii was on fire. I was like, bullshit. Like I knew it wasn't a natural disaster. They're trying to make it climate change, but you know, and I know that it's all about money. So they're going after the land and the property. And it reminded me of Paradise, California, when they came in and rebought all the land for half price and threw those poor people out. Well, they needed their money because they couldn't rebuild. So to me, it was very obvious what happened. And it's an agenda. To me, it's part of Agenda 2030, which I know you're familiar with. But it's segregating people. So now you can't live here and you have no rights to this land, which neither do they, by the way. God does. They don't. All right. They didn't create it, but they think they own it. All right, whatever, play games like that. And now the people are forced in a different area. So then they'll set fire or do a hurricane over there. And then those people have to move. And that's the same what they did in Paradise. They did it in Malibu. They set fire in Malibu. Do you remember?
Yes.
To the houses. And like Miley Cyrus's house was one that was on the news. They had money, but not all of them had money. You know, some people have been there 50 years. They can't rebuild back. So they doing that to segregate us. The next thing they're going to do is mess with the electrical vehicles. And I have to tell you a story. You didn't even ask this, but I'm telling you. Do you drive a Tesla? You don't, right?
No. I'm not a big fan of EVs. I mean, if you want to buy one, that's fine, but don't force them down our throats.
Oh my God, I'm with you. See, us Canadians are rebellious as hell. Okay, so we were going to Canada this summer, my ex-husband and I, to a family reunion. Okay, so a lot of the family that our kids grew up with and everything, cousins, and we took a Tesla to the airport. Oh my God, he sat in the back seat, I sat in the back seat. The driver was lovely. After an hour and a half, because it really should have only been 15 minutes in LA, but it was an hour and a half because that's how traffic is. I could not stand up straight when I got out of that car. I did nothing different. I ate my normal yogurt breakfast, my protein shake. I felt like I'd been on a roller coaster, drunk, and had my head smashed in and was PMSing, but I wasn't any of those things. I was so nauseous that was all I could do to walk through the airport to go through the where they check you. Yeah. And I had to lay down on the floor for 2 hours before our flight. I was on the floor. I didn't even care. Like I literally fell on the floor. The battery screwed me up. The battery screwed with my frequency, not my
Dirty
ex-husband's.
electricity. Dirty electricity.
Yes, yes. I was sick, so sick. And it took me like we had a 3-hour wait, but it was like 2 hours on the floor of the airport. Disgusting, by the way. I didn't care though. I was like on my bag and he's like, what's wrong with you? And then he thought of it. He said, it's the battery. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sick. Then I had to eat food to calm down. Like I had to keep a chicken sandwich, things I don't normally eat that much before I get on a plane. I had to eat it because I just couldn't feel I couldn't get my equilibrium back. It was very strange. Never had that happen.
Do you think this is by design?
I
Intentional?
think, yeah, I think with people that have an ability to tap into the source or maybe use their energy like psychics do, creatives, mediums, I think that they're trying to bring the frequency in the direction they wanted. So maybe if my frequency's out right, they want to pull it left. And that's what I was feeling. So they were pulling on it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sick. Like a worst hangover you ever had. And I don't drink, but that's what I felt like.
What do you see
Horrific.
in terms of the World Economic Forum and Agenda 2030 and 15-minute cities and central bank digital currencies? Are they going to get their way? Are they winning?
Oh God, I hate these people. I just want to punch them in the face, but you can't punch them all. I do think they're going to, this is weird. I do think they're going to win for some people, and other people are living on a different frequency or timeline. So obviously you and I have to go to the bank. So we either go in or we don't, but we're not believing what they're saying. Therefore, our life morphs off differently. So I think there's going to be two very distinctly different groups of people who are dealing with life in a different way. So they kind of are winning, but not. They're not entrapping everybody, that's for sure. They're absolutely not. There's many people who disagree with it.
Right.
And every time they try to do it, we rise up, but it's more like like so many of us energetically that it slaps them back, if you will. It's like spraying them with bug spray or whatever. I don't think they're fully going to win with Agenda 2030. They're going to tell people they are, but I don't feel they are. And I actually feel like I do feel it's going to be down into a war. So literally like a war, like an old school war, but it's being fought on the spiritual level, but you're going to see like the destruction for sure of America. Like they're trying to destroy us, probably North America, because Canada is right behind us or right in the mix of it. Probably North America. I'll tell you something else funny. I came back from Canada, green card, and I took the wrong green card. It was expired. So of course they pulled us over, right? Of course. Why would they not pull over two white people? Okay, I'm just going to say this. We got hassled for an entire hour. They found my name in the wherever they look it up and said okay, and actually we had a picture on my phone. I had just grabbed the wrong one. But I wanted to say, how come you have open borders everywhere, but you're hassling me? And I've had a green card. Here is my expired one, and it's just like a year expired. I just grabbed the wrong one. Okay, so I at least went through the system, but you're letting randos into this country via Mexico. So I almost said, should I just back up and come through Mexico? But I didn't want to get arrested further, so I didn't say it, but I wanted to. The hell are you stopping me for? Like, you can see that I followed instruction. You're just letting, what did they let off? Like 500,000 people? Is that how many have come into New York? They've let all of those people in fighting age. They're taking us down. That's what they want. They want to hurt us.
Sloan,
everything.
Another time out, back with more in a moment. Hi there. If you want to watch the rest of these episodes, please head over to my Rumble channel, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. You can watch complete episodes there. New, complete, unedited episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Again, the Rumble channel is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. In the meantime, I want to thank you for supporting this YouTube channel all of these years. However, the problem is I never know when I'm going to run afoul of the censors at YouTube. I never know when I'm going to end up in YouTube jail. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. And in fact, 2 more strikes and this YouTube channel will be taken down altogether. So help me fight big tech censorship, enjoy the complete unedited episodes, and join the rest of the Strange Planet community over on Rumble. Again, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet on rumble.com. See you over there. Psychic medium astrologer Sloan Bella, the YouTube channel Sloan Bella, about 130,000 subscribers. Check it out. Where else do we want to go? Let's talk about food for a moment.
Oh my God.
We had this weird case up here in Toronto, and there was one in Italy of botulism. I was just absolutely horrified to learn how botulism and the spores, I guess, can just like shut down all of your muscles, and you end up on a respirator for like 9 months. You can't, have to have a catheter. You can't, it's just horrible.
Oh
Like, and the road back from botulism is just like, it's terrible. Anyway, what are you seeing in terms of our food supply? What are they doing to our food?
Okay, well, first of all, I can tell you your Canadian food tastes a heck of a lot better than ours. Because in the summer, I was able to taste your fruits. So they haven't gotten to your fruit trees yet, at least not in Vancouver area. So I was able to like eat blueberries, and I'm like, oh my God, I can taste them. What they're doing is they're injecting every single thing that they can inject with some kind of chemical or substance designed to make us dependent on their medical system. Keep in mind, that's what they want. They want us dependent on the medical system. I think with the meat, this is going to be, I mean, I know a lot of people think this. What's the most outrageous thing you can do if you are, for example, a Luciferian, a Mason, a high-level Mason, which we know goes along the lines of Luciferian, a Scientologist? Force people, any of those groups of people, you can force people to eat things that go against God, which is the flesh of humans. That's actually what I think they're doing. I think they are slowly putting things in our food so that everything we eat means we've committed sin as a mockery. But we don't know it. You and I don't know it. Like if I eat a piece of chicken, I'm not thinking that, although right now I am, but I am not thinking that. Everything is now farmed. So they can inject it with anything. So that in the farm salmon, they can put as much estrogen in as they want. How would you and I know? We're just eating a piece of salmon, right? In the meat, they're removing meat from everything. My suggestion is people go to kosher bakeries. They go to Middle Eastern bakeries, kosher
Butchers.
Yeah, or they get their meat or fish from a co-op or directly from like Alaska or wherever from organizations rather than buy it in the supermarket. Because the supermarkets want us, basically, they're taking us away from what we want and how we live our food. And then they're moving us to where we don't want the food so they can steal our consciousness and we become hooked up. So then they start feeding us through a straw while we're hooked up with binoculars on. That's actually what I think they're trying to do. Get us away from what we enjoy doing in this life while making us sick. I mean, you should never eat McDonald's. You should never eat Taco Bell. I mean, I know people do, and I have, not a lot, but you should never eat that. It's not food. So it does not help your physical being. It ruins your energy vibration. That's what they're trying to do. If they can't get us with drugs, they get us with that. If they can't get us with alcohol, they get us with that. They're putting fentanyl in absolutely everything. I mean, everything. You buy weed, you're smoking fentanyl. It's terrible. So they're systematically trying to kill us. Botulism, that's why I don't do Botox. I thought I want to do Botox, but it's botulism and I can't mentally go there in my head. I'm like, no, this is going to like mess up something. It's on me. It'll go awry. I can't do it.
Now they're talking about putting the mRNA vaccine into beef. So if you refuse the vaccine, they're going to try and put it in our food.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they will do that. That's why learn how to eat differently, learn how to eat and get ideally, I would do it where I live, but I have bears in the backyard. So I cannot have a chicken coop because I literally have bears and cougars in my backyard, like on my camera. They even eat my rose bushes. So, little chickens would be out, but you should have your own chicken, should be growing your own vegetables and figuring out alternative ways for protein, to sustain yourself. So you don't have to eat what they want you to eat, because you're not going to feel well. And they're going to take our organs too. It's another thing. Another thing I found out, when you do you have it in Canada where you can donate your organs on your driver's license?
You sign your donor card. Except,
Yeah.
if you didn't take the vaccine, they won't give you an organ, but they'll take your organs, but they won't give you an organ.
Yeah. Well, to them, I just ripped off them, not you them. Well, when I did my driver's license, I said, take me off of this. Because weirdly, my son Keith, before he died, said, Mom, get off of that. He did not like it. Like, he was actually pretty on par with what's happening now. He knew about it, even kind of better than I did. But when I tried to take myself off the organ donor list, they're like, yeah, you're off on the driver's license, but you have to call this second party number and make sure that they understand you don't want it. And I'm like, why? You're doing it. If they don't tell you that, you don't know that. You see, so they trick. But I suggest everybody get off the organ donor list. Have a medical directive. And if you die and your medical directive person looks at it, then they can choose who your organs go to. You see? Yeah. Other than that, like someone, your wife, right? Like your wife or one of your kids or whatever, they would be the ones, but not some agency, because they're selling them. And people don't understand that. They sell the organs, they sell our bones, they sell stuff. Look at the Harvard guy, got caught in the morgue. You heard about that guy? Did you hear about him?
No. Tell me.
Oh, the Harvard guy, the mortician at Harvard Medical School, was taking the donated bodies and selling the body parts to who's that use thigh bones and foot bones for the rituals and all that.
Wow.
They crush up the bones. They do that. They do that
Satanists.
in voodoo. Yeah. And voodoo too, as well. Hoodoo, voodoo, they do that. So they're taking actual human bones, desecrating them, and the families are donating them thinking that, I'm doing a good thing, obviously, or you wouldn't donate your loved one. I would never donate my loved one now. I'm here to say no, just absolutely no. And then the next thing is the hospitals are using paperwork. Okay, so paperwork and permission. So let's say you have to have a kidney transplant. You, Richard, you go in, you sign your paperwork, you could die, whatever, next of kin. And then they're like, we have permission to film you, and we have permission to take your samples and use them in different parts of different hospitals for whatever we choose. They're literally taking human beings. This is a war between God's human beings and non-human entities. And they're doing everything they can to trick us. And that's why free will is so important, because they can set the agenda. We have the choice whether to go along with it or not. So even if it means our own demise, we still go back to God. They never go back to God. They're not souled beings. So we don't know that. It seems really weird, when you go to a doctor and you're like, he's got a family, he's one of us. No, not necessarily. He looks like one of us, but he might not be of substance the way that human beings are. So that's what they're doing. Yeah, definitely.
Are you still in the LA area? Are you still living there?
I am, but I'm with the bears. Yeah, I'm up in the mountains with the bears. But yeah, I'm 20 minutes from my old house. Yeah.
Bears and I think one of the last times we talked about the cults in Hollywood and the Satanists in Hollywood. And since we've talked last, now we have this movie that came out with Tim Ballard, who was rescuing trafficked children. And now they're coming after Tim Ballard and accusing him of sexual
misconduct,
sexual misconduct. And now they're going after Elon Musk and Russell Brand and all these people that are speaking out against if you want to call it the Antichrist system or whatever. Give me your thoughts on what they're doing to Ballard and Russell Brand, for example.
Okay. I happen to know someone that did a business deal with Russell Brand. Okay. So a friend of mine opened up a business with him. This is probably 2012 for trafficked children, actually, in the Valley. And he left that business. Like, he was in it for 5 years and then gone. Okay. So he was just out. But from what I heard, and he acknowledges his behavior was always inappropriate.
Mhm.
You know, that doesn't mean he can't change his ways. I'm pretty sure he has done what they're accusing him of. Okay, so then comes into an addiction and being born into an Illuminati family, which I believe he was, or he wouldn't be who he was. So he can still choose to step away from it. They'll kill him. They'll kill him, but he can still choose it. And I think that's what he's trying to choose, but they're going to try to take him down. Tim Ballard, what made me, that's the only movie I've seen in like 20 years, gone to a theater to see, because I will not.
Sound of
And
Freedom.
I will never, I won't give them my money. And so when I went in there, what I noticed is they immediately had like and this was ironic, and this was in LA at the AMC. It was actually Pasadena. I think we were in the Pasadena theater, but they had Nicole Kidman trying to pitch a bunch of stuff for the movie theater, which I found absolutely hilarious since her father is a child hunter, psychopath, Satanist, and so is she, but they've hired her. So that immediately put me off. For 20 minutes. I had to look at this bitch talking her nonsense about movies. It was like, shut, like, why am I here? Then, because it's all one big sales pitch to indoctrinate us. But what I noticed is they wanted money from us in our theaters. They wanted us to buy tickets for people that didn't have money. Number one, anytime any of these people, whether it be that movie, I don't care, Russell Brand asks you to donate to something they're doing, they are part of that system. They can use their own money. They have more money than you do, than I do. Best Buy doesn't need my money. They want to do it because they want to break us. Okay. The other thing with Tim Ballard, when I watched the movie, I figured he was part of the system because he sold it to those billionaire Mormons. And Mormonism, in my opinion, is a cult, much like Scientology. I know I'm going to offend every Mormon on here, but the way that they believe that their God speaks is ridiculous. Okay. It's another segue into wrong thinking, multiple wives, young sister wives. It's all like ancestral. It's wrong, period. I don't care. It just is. But they sold that two or three Mormon brothers. So I was suspect of it then. Okay. So I don't doubt that he hasn't done something. The movie was adequate, but you and I know more on our own, but I guess they can't put that in a movie. I guess, like it's pretty hard. But I didn't mind the movie. It was okay. But I do think they're going to try to take him down. And usually keep in mind that movie was filmed in 2016 or 17. So the people filming it would not have been watching their P's and Q's. So now it's catching up with them. I'm not sure that Tim Ballard is quite the rapist they say, or that Russell Brand is quite the rapist, but they do have sketchy backgrounds or they wouldn't be able to do it. You can't just plant nonsense. I should knock on wood before I open my mouth and say this. No one's going to say that about me because it's never even remotely happened. It's not even closely happened. And if it did happen, it would be like, people would be like, no, it didn't happen because it never happened. Okay. They've got something that they can be blackmailed with, which means they're part of that system. I now don't trust anybody who's up there in Hollywood, like any movies, not that they're all 100% at the same level as somebody like Jay-Z or Madonna's gone completely out of body, someone like that, but they are all in the system or they wouldn't get their way. They can't get there. If you're a billionaire, the billionaires of that movie, Sound of Freedom, they're billionaires. So they're involved in child trafficking. I don't care if they're Mormon. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're billionaires. They will not be allowed to keep that money unless they are participating in those rituals on some level. That goes for Bezos. Elon Musk comes from that. There's usually government families in the background. They all come from it. They're all laughing at us. If they got billions, then you can't trust them. They're playing parts for us, like some of us like Elon and others like Russell and some like that Tim Ballard, but they're playing parts on our personalities. So I really believe that. So I don't like any of them.
Who do you trust?
I don't trust anybody. Are you kidding? Nobody. I mean, I trust you. I'm talking to you, but like I can live in the jungle with the woolly mammoth and the killer animals, but I don't participate. And do I turn my back on them? No. No, I don't turn my back on them. But no, if they present it, I don't trust it.
There's
You're a billionaire.
An old Russian proverb that says, be friends with the wolf, but keep one hand on the axe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's how I feel I have to walk. I'm at functions with people that are Satanists. I'm at functions with people in the industry because God always puts his with theirs. So every time one of theirs steps up in a war that none of us really get that we're fighting, God will put one of his to step there to show them it's not just your way, it's also our way. Right. So you can have like a gangbanger and a churchgoer, if you want to word it like that. Every time the gangbanger steps out, somebody from the church will step in line behind them or beside them to say, you're this, we're that. That's what's going on. So we are all need to familiarize, but you can't trust these people. Like Oprah asking for money in Hawaii. The hell is she talking about?
Yeah.
She needs to be bitch slapped. Is she kidding me? I mean, and if you listen to her wording, her wording was, we're donating $10 million to one of the many people who lost their houses. That means somebody she knows in her family or somebody in the Rocks family or her cousin. That's what that means. People got to get smart and listen and never donate to Best Buy when they ask if you want to help families. Never give your money. Go find somebody in your neighborhood, babysit their kid, buy them groceries, go help an old lady drive her to her doctor's appointment, whatever. But do not give to those corporations. Do not. That's what they want us to do. That has to stop. They're stealing from us.
Sloan Bella.
For their own.
SloanBella.com is the website, SloanBella.com. And of course, the YouTube channel, of course, Sloan Bella, SloanBella, Sloan Bella, and SloanBella.com. What a whirlwind. I'm glad you're back. It's great to speak with you again.
I'm happy to see you, Richard. Yeah. And now that I can see you.
Well, be safe. Please be safe.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Syrett's Strange Planet drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Hi there. If you want to watch the rest of these episodes, please head over to my Rumble channel, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. You can watch complete episodes there. New, complete, unedited episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Again, the Rumble channel is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. In the meantime, I want to thank you for supporting this YouTube channel all of these years. However, the problem is I never know when I'm going to run afoul of the censors at YouTube. I never know when I'm going to end up in YouTube jail. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. And in fact, 2 more strikes and this YouTube channel will be taken down altogether. So help me fight big tech censorship, enjoy the complete unedited episodes, and join the rest of the Strange Planet community over on Rumble. Again, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet on rumble.com. See you over there.